I just want to give a bit of context to my harassment that I go through from Wiltshire Police and as a victim of organised stalking. And what I've read from an ex-military person who has done incredibly well against the police and who was actually, I believe, attempted to be recruited by the CIA because he was so skillful in negotiating organised stalking and the way and what was being done to him. And he has written a WordPress blog, which is just fantastic. It gives all the information that is very helpful for people to read and understand what truly is going on here. And it's thoroughly disgraceful. And yet the police are behind, there's no doubt about it, the police are behind every step of this, every bit of the way, behind the organised stalking narrative. But if I just go on, just read a bit for you here because it's actually before they hack my phone. I'll just read a bit here. It says community-based recruitment. In ordinary neighbourhoods, recruitment often starts with a narrative. A story is built about the person who's said to be dangerous, unstable, or a risk to others, or involved in criminality. The target will never be framed as someone with a grievance, like a whistleblower or activist, but as someone who must be managed. This creates a moral permission. And that is very true. So that leads on to the behavioural modification thing again here, so that they can say, oh, we're trying to modify this person's behaviour. Well, in the case of myself, what do? I clean a house. I wash dishes and I clean. That's hardly a justification for behaviour modification. In fact, that is just ridiculous. But I'll just go on anyway. People approached in this way by the authorities are often chosen precisely because they're compliant, conscientious, or trusting of authority. Some also may already have some contact with the police through work, family, or social connections, but many will not. They are told that they're helping. They are reassured that they're doing the right thing. The language is always protective rather than punitive. Watch, listen, report concerns. And that's how it starts, until rapport and trust is built. The trust does not arise in a vacuum. From childhood onwards, much of the public is immersed in a steady diet of police-focused television, news coverage and entertainment. Crime dramas, documentaries and reality programmes present policing as a fundamentally moral, conscientious and protective. Officers are shown wrestling with conscience, driven by justice and constrained by rules. The message is repetitive and cumulative. The police are good. The police are necessary. The police are always to be trusted. Not so. I can tell you that for a fact. Over time, the cultural conditioning shapes how recruitment narratives are received. When a handler says someone is dangerous, that statement arrives wrapped in decades of media reassurance. Doubt feels disloyal. Questioning feels irresponsible. Cooperation feels virtuous. Cultural trust becomes operational leverage. And he says, in my own experience, I was repeatedly described to others as ex-military, special forces connected were trained in secretive military techniques and unstable. Well, that's the same for myself. I mean, I'm not military, but people get told that I've got all sorts of problems, that I'm unstable, autistic, anything you can think of. It varies from one week to the next. I've heard of the fact that I'm meant to supposedly have bipolar disorder, or schizophrenia, whatever the narrative is for that particular week anyway. Whether true or not was irrelevant. What mattered was the effect. It positioned me as a latent threat rather than a whistleblower. But once that frame is accepted, cooperation becomes a civic duty rather than a moral conflict. This is infiltration. It is not social enlistment. Recruitment from criminal networks. Other major sources of informants is the criminal justice system itself. People charged with drug offences, theft, fraud, organised crime, are offered a transaction, provide information and do what we want you to do, and your sentence may be reduced. Cooperate, Charges may disappear. Refuse and consequences follow. And this, what I've read to you, is very true of myself, because I do believe that wherever I've gone, people are told that. In fact, I had somebody, I'll never forget, I had an ex-neighbour who was being very rude, and I was, I was basically telling him off, he was so rude. And his wife shouted from an upstairs window, "Get away from her, Alan, she's dangerous." Now, that's the very first time that I heard reference to that word dangerous, but it suddenly all clicked into place, the narrative. And so that is it. People assume that I'm dangerous. They assume I'm to be unstable. Or will they report on me? The neighbours don't speak to me. They're very, very wary of me. They've been sold a narrative, sold a story by Wiltshire Police, who have harassed me out of, well, this will be the third home now, and this will be onto the streets. I've got nowhere else to go. But this is very much, I'm quoting from Andy Lewis, who's ex-military whistleblower chap of decent character, decent integrity, who has written a very good blog on this. It's very enlightening and very informative, because it's everything that everybody else talks about. So this is all very true. This is not the full blog, but it's just a bit of it, just to show you what gets said. But yes, in my case, there's been all sorts of things like bipolar, schizophrenia, dangerous, which I'm not. I mean, if you think cleaning a house, they've just tapped my phone, he's just turned it off. If you think that cleaning, look at that, goodness me. If you think that cleaning a house, being quiet, keeping to oneself, and occasionally filming the crap that I get up with is dangerous, then, that's just awful. Because I don't do anything that could be construed as dangerous. If anything, I'm at harm. I'm being harmed. I am the one that's in danger, not the one that's endangering other people or is unstable. But that's the way that Wiltshire Police will sell you the narrative, to get you on board, to follow, surveil. I mean, it's not a crime to go to a shop to buy some food, and yet it's portrayed as being that way. People will follow me around a supermarket because they think I'm going to shoplift. That's the thing, you see. It's ongoing rubbish. There's a whole lot more I could say on this, but it's very helpful to read Andy Lewis's blog, because he writes so well, and I feel very sorry for him, because I know what it's like, and it is just awful. I don't seek to change anybody's opinion of me. I cannot do that. People have their own opinion. That's up to them. It's not for me to change anyone's opinion. And as for the police, this will all come to light. And I think one day you will find yourselves in court, most definitely.